Welcome back to the Texas Rangers pregame show, driven by Geico. Rangers fans, great news. Switch to Geico, find out all the ways you can save. Well, the Rangers and Astros getting ready to continue their series from Minute Maid Park, and right now it's time to chat with our friend. There might be a rivalry between these two teams, but we love this guy, member of the Astros broadcast team, former major leaguer Steve Sparks. Sparky, it's great to get to speak to you here once again.
I feel like there's more of a rivalry, and I'm being totally honest here, between me and you. So to be able to do this on a computer where we're not touching each other or feeling each other out or at risk of somebody throwing a punch, I feel like this might go pretty well.
Well, as long as you don't try to rip me apart like a phone book, then I think I'm doing okay.
Well played.
Hey, so, Sparky, one of the things I looked at before this series was the strikeout rates of the Astros, because I recall in 2017, that was a big part of the turnaround, was, a team that went from one of the most strikeout prone to the least. And that's maintained every year since then. I'm curious, what, other than maybe having some new blood, there are obviously a lot of the same players who have been in the lineup. What do you think is to credit for the improvement so drastically in that regard?
Yeah, well, they take pride in it, and they take pride in not swinging at pitches off the plate. And it's kind of funny, after that the cheating scandal and the sign stealing and all that stuff, I look back and I was thinking, man, I can't believe that how many times I probably said that somebody so-and-so took a pitch that was 2 inches off the plate, and how they were able to do that time after time after time with 2 strikes and all that. But they're doing it right now. And I think they develop players with a really good discernment. We've got players like Michael Brantley and Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, all very sagacious at the plate, because they realize that there's certain pitches that they can really drive, and that's what they're looking for. And what they're able to do with 2 strikes, I think it's just a gift. You're talking about low strikeout rates. It's one of the reasons why they're a tough out when all is said and done. It's still a very competitive team.
Did you just win a bet by using the word sagacious?
No, but I can say folliculitis. We can use that. Looking at your hair right now, I notice there's some inflammation of your hair follicles. So we can go with folliculitis now.
So the reason I'm curious about that, Steve, not the use of the word sagacious, but the strikeout stuff. The Rangers are in a rebuilding phase, and the Astros were there once, and the Rangers obviously hope to get to the point where they are perennially contenders like the Astros have been. And a part of that is not just bringing up young players, but it's maybe redefining what's important to an organization on the field. And a lot of the conversation this year has been about how, it's been harped on that you need to throw strikes. And if you're not going to throw strikes, you're not going to be playing at the big league level. And, the Rangers have, lo and behold, been much more diligent in throwing strikes, first pitch strikes, not issuing walks. And so I guess I'm curious, from your perspective as a former player, how do the chain of events work? Because obviously a coach, a manager can stand up and preach items 1, 2, and 3, but just by saying it, it's not going to change. But how does that dynamic work from what a coach or manager, an organization wants, to the players actually carrying that out?
It starts with scouting. It starts with scouting players who have command of multiple pitches. You got to be able to throw multiple pitches on the 1-1 count, I think, to stay ahead of the count and leverage at the major league level. So you're either going to go 1 and 2 or 2 and 1. We talk about the first pitch strike a lot, but I don't think it's as important as the 1-1 pitch. But you got to be able to do it with multiple pitches. And I think that's where some teams are probably developing pitchers better than others. I remember, Jared, in 2005, my last year as a professional, and I was 40 years old or 41 years old, and I was in AAA, just kind of hanging on, seeing if there was a chance to get back to the major leagues for the Oakland A's. But I was with Sacramento, and what the A's were doing at the minor league level at that time is they had the starting pitchers chart the hitters, but not on what they did at the plate, is what they swung at. So all they did was judge players at swinging at strikes and swinging at balls, And at the end of the month, there was a reward system on who did it best. And lo and behold, those guys who got to the big leagues were ready to play at the major league level just because of their way of thinking. So I think you can do that for pitching and hitting, but you got to look at it differently.
Talking with Steve Sparks. Sparky, a few nights ago, a foul ball went into your booth and you wanted nothing to do with it. What are your thoughts on your performance on that foul ball?
Well, I mean, a lot of times when I reach for a ball, I trip on my skirt. So, when I can't see very well, when I'm wearing a blindfold and I'm trying to mask my nose because my partner's breath isn't great, it's tough to get to a baseball. But it came in there, it smoked in there. You know this very well. Number one, yes, I'm afraid of a baseball. But number two is I'm also afraid of a ricochet.
Yes.
You reach for something and it hits the corner or something, and then you've got 2 teeth missing, and then it becomes really, really scary for a lot of people for weird reasons. So I was scared. I'm not going to deny that, but I understand that Eric and Matt had a good laugh about it.
They did, but we did remind everyone that you were a good fielding pitcher back in your day, just not a good foul ball fielding broadcaster.
Let's just say I got a lot of chances.
Last thing, Sparky, we've talked about last year, talked about it again this year. John King is someone you've known for quite some time, coaching him at a very young age. I'm just curious, what's it like seeing a kid that you coached when he was 10, 11, 12 years old come up and not just pitch at the big league level, but he's having such a tremendous year and have success at the big league level?
It's kind of funny. I mentioned this on air a couple of nights ago. There was a kid named Darren Shepard. He went to Baylor. He got drafted by the Texas Rangers. There was in this same little community of kids playing baseball together. There's a kid named Zach Belsky who pitched at Princeton. And then Nick Hernandez, who's in the minor leagues with the Astros, was the closer at U of H. And John King. And John King was just almost an afterthought. People thought, he's dependable. He doesn't throw real hard, but he'll throw strikes. And one thing about John King that I always noticed, he wasn't afraid of one single kid that he was matched up against, and he was going to challenge every single kid out there. And you just noticed that. You could see it in his face. You could see it in his demeanor. He showed up and he worked hard and he wanted the baseball. And, I always feel like baseball is a little different from other sports. Kids blossom at different times. And John King certainly is talented in his own right physically, but mentally I knew he had it from a really early age. And I think it comes partly from the upbringing, but also I think he had that in him from a really young age. So I'm super happy for him.
Well, for joining us, Steve Sparks will be our guest at Gus's World Famous Fried Chicken location in Dallas. Yeah, that's right. And Fort Worth. You can choose. You can go to Deep Elm in Dallas, Magnolia in Fort Worth. Nothing is better than cold beer, Rangers baseball, and Gus's World Famous Fried Chicken. Sparky, thanks so much, man. It's always great getting to talk with you.
Fried chicken.
Rangers and Astros coming your way on the Louisiana Hot Sauce Rangers Radio Network.